It's 10 a.m. on Monday, May 6, 2024. And this is the road that I thought wouldn't have enough grass in it by the time I got to the end. So originally I said, hey, I should make it 75 feet wide instead of 100 feet wide. But I decided because there wasn't so much grass to make it 100 feet wide. And now the grass is, there's some grass that's taller than the posts. So we are just doing fantastic out here. We're swimming in grass. My goal was to have them in here 3.5 days at most and then move them to the next row. But I think, let's see, I have one more move here. And even here, like this move could probably last them probably till sundown. You know, I probably don't need to move them if I come early in the field tomorrow morning, around 6:30 when the sun comes up, and move them to the next area. I looked at the last area. Let me just show you what the last area looks like. So they were here about 3 days ago in this last area. Oh my goodness, this grass is so thick. And the clovers are growing up too. The weeds don't stand a chance. They really don't. I almost feel sorry for them. Tag, you're it. Okay. So this is the area they were in about 3 days ago at the end of this row, this previous row. And I don't think they ate 80% of the grass. They did, but there's still a lot left over. So
it's not exactly a bad thing.
Yeah, I was hoping to get 80% of the grass though. Yeah. And so now we got yeah, I probably got to leave them here for the rest of the day. I'll come back in the evening and see where they're at on this. But if I do leave them here the rest of the day, I'll come here early tomorrow and then give them all day on the last section there. One thing I wanted to follow up on was young 20. That's a black cow with horns. I think she's over there. I wanted to see if she's still showing signs of pregnancy. There was a little bit of a hint that she might be pregnant because her bags were getting bigger. And I was concerned because young 20 is not old enough to have a calf yet. If she had a calf when I thought she might bear a calf, this is young 20 here, then she wouldn't be 2 years old and she'd be like 18 months. So I'm prepared. I'm prepared psychologically, mentally, and physically for if this cow gives birth in a few months. But I don't really see any progression on the bags. It's hard to tell. Because if young 20 is bred, then that means my other heifers are bred too. I think there's two others, maybe just one other. That's one of them over there. And I think I have another heifer somewhere. No, I think it's just two. Just two heifers that would be giving birth early. Which isn't what I planned, but I went back and reviewed the calendar and I sure enough left the bull on too long. So they were almost a year old and the bull was still on there, so there's a good chance they were bred. You know, so this one as well. Now she's not showing any signs at all. Her bag's completely loose. It's like just a fold of skin. And then she's a little bit swollen in the rear, which could be a sign she's in estrus right now. Which means she's not pregnant, you know. So, wow, look at Red. What a beautiful cow. Yellow's in good condition too. Nothing to sneeze at there. Wanted to say a few notes about how do you calculate your income from the farm when you treat it like a business. I watched a video where, oh gosh, now I don't remember his name. I'll link to the video in the description of this. I'll remember it when I get home. But he pointed out that he's going to make a lot more money with sheep than cows, and if you keep the sheep back to expand the flock, it's going to grow a lot faster than cows, right? You produce more meat with sheep than you do cows. And it goes back to this idea that having more and smaller animals is generally a better idea. The thinking goes something like this with cows. It says if you have, let's say you raise one calf and you sell it like at 600 pounds, right? So that's 600 pounds of flesh basically, versus two calves, two calves that you sell at 300 pounds, right? That would be the same, right? And so if two cows grew half as slowly in weight, two calves half as slowly as weight as one calf, then it wouldn't matter if you had big or small calves, right? But if those calves are 350 pounds, then it makes more sense to have the two smaller calves than the one bigger calf. And in practice, for cows at least, the smaller calves are going to win, right? And the other number that you have to focus on is not your biggest cows or how many cows you have or anything like that. It's how much money are you making on your herd, right? And if you change something about the herd, would you make more money or less money, right? And it turns out that you make more money growing smaller calves, right? Your calves are not going to break any records. They're not going to get the best price at the sale barn. Nobody's going to come and say, oh my goodness, your calves are just the most amazing calves ever. But your herd will be making more money than if you were to grow those top quality calves, right? And that's the key there, is understanding that just because individuals in the herd are doing better than individuals in another herd doesn't mean the herd as a whole is doing better than the other herd, right? Now with sheep, the math is really, really advantageous for sheep. And I'll give you some examples why, right? And number one is obviously that sheep can have two lambs, right? And depending on your flock, I've heard numbers from 1.5 to 1.7, right? From people that are actually doing this, okay? I don't know what the error bars are. It's not until you get about 100 sheep that you could start putting like a 95 percentile confidence rating. That's reasonable for those numbers, right? So I'm sure that the people who run lots of sheep know this number. They probably aren't telling people the number that they calculate for their flock, right? And the other thing about sheep is they have a faster, they have a shorter gestation period. That means that after they get bred, the lambs come out quicker than the calves do, right? And another key feature of the sheep is they mature quicker, right? So at about 7 months old, those baby lambs, quote unquote baby lambs, they're ready to breed. And you will get another lambing from those lambs in 1 year, versus it takes 2 years for the cows to mature, right? And all of that works out in favor of sheep. Meaning any one of those factors, if for instance I was able to go to the market and buy cows that gave me two calves that were just as healthy as one calf or maybe slightly smaller, right, I would do it, right? If there was a magic cow that could be ready to breed in 1 year, I would get that cow, right? If there was a magic cow that had a much shorter gestation period, I would get that cow, right? Because it would make more money. And sheep do all of those things, right? And in addition to that, the number of pounds that you grow with sheep on a piece of forage, well, let's just say it's the same, right? It's the same, right? So it doesn't matter if you're growing sheep or calves. If you optimize your operations, the forage is converted to meat at the same rate. Like sheep are no more efficient than cows at converting forage to meat, right? Then what you look at is the price of the meat, right? And in the United States right now, you can get, if it's a good day, you can get $2.50 per pound on your calf. Well, you get $5 per pound on your lamb, right? So it makes no sense to raise cows, right? Unless cows were more efficient at converting grass than sheep. And not just more efficient, but twice as efficient, right? Which they aren't, right? It's probably comparable. So that's kind of the story with sheep, is their shorter gestation period, their, the fact that they have multiple lambs, the fact that they're ready to breed in half the time means that sheep are they're just a good bet, right? Now, that said, just like in nature, you don't over-optimize and end up with monoculture, right? I'm not growing just ryegrass in my pasture, for instance, even though ryegrass is obviously the best forage for cows, right? So the diversity plays a big role in resilience and fertility and things like that. So having sheep and cows is a benefit. And as the guy said in his video, he likes steaks. I like steaks. I like burgers, right? I really like burgers. I really, really, really like burgers. And I really, really, really like steaks, right? So even if the cows weren't making me money, I'd still run cows just because I like steaks, right? I think 35 heard what I said, but I don't think he understands, right? So anyway, that's kind of my thoughts right now. When you're doing your calculations, what you should do is plug in the numbers that you want to have that you're able to run on your land, and pretend like, okay, you cull 10% or you cull 5% or 1% or whatever you cull each year of the breeders, and then you need to replace them, and then you calculate how much you can sell for your cycle, right? How much your land can support like that, and that's the number. Now, in terms of growing the flock or the herd size, yes, you are going to get your sheep numbers up quicker than cows, right? You get a quicker return on investment in terms of expanding the flock. But once you've reached your max capacity, expanding the flock is no longer something you want to do, right? You're just going to sell all your lambs. So anyway, guys, have a great day. Take care. Bye-bye.